Globalism, world empire. Let's get right into this right here. And I like to say, not so if we stand together in harmony and unity and we stand against it. So let's get right into this right here. Here we go. This is a pretty interesting book right here I found, and I think you guys are going to like this book here. It says right here, this is by Woodrow Wilson. It says, some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete. So basically he goes on to say that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in within condemnation of this system right here. So for years, guys, there are many people, and we've had just strange lists of disappearance of people. We've heard all this weird stuff about individuals being suicide, all this kind of things like that, because whenever anyone begins to speak against this system, weird things happen to them. Let us continue on right here. The real rulers in Washington are invisible and exercise power from behind the scenes. Then it goes on to say on January 20th, 2017, speaking of when the president officially took office, listening George W.H. Bush, Bill Clinton, we know both Bushes, Barack Obama, etc., etc. Trump spoke straightforwardly to establish a bureaucratic deep state shadow government elites in a way nobody had seen or heard before. The author goes on to say essentially that it was a declaration against them, that he was not going to align with whatever they were asking him to align with, and that he had made the decision from that point forward that he was going to go forward with basically giving power back to the people, because that's what our society is about. It's about, it's by the people and it's for the people, and that's ultimately what we're supposed to be about. But essentially he goes on to say within this chapter that what we've had was basically the people serving these leaders to such a point that we have had a society of people that are coming up in the way people are educated now. They say things like, well, I want to make sure that I'm the person on top that's giving an orders, and that are basically making decisions to essentially sabotage the country by sending all the jobs, sending everything overseas. And we know what's happening overseas in these countries. These people are being paid slave wages. So essentially what we have done in the society and how they have brainwashed us, they basically have taught us how to enslave mankind and to keep other people within this slave system. Now we know that there was a very powerful company to where they have even suicide nets set up. So where when people are just working 12 hours, 18 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, these people will try to just end their lives because they're so depressed. The nets catch them and they put them back to work the same day or the next day. So that's what we've come to right now in our society, that our educational system in college is educating people and telling them that that is a good thing. And see, basically, that's one of the things that Trump is coming up against, that he's coming up against, that a group of individuals that are out there have so infiltrated the minds of the youth that are coming up that they believe that that's a good thing. I even my own self have had struggles and fights with people that I tell them that, they're arguing and fighting with me about, well, look at everything that's going on with the trade deals, and we should be trading more and more and more and more things going on with it. And then when I explain to them, I go, well, man, you don't think that that's bad, that these people are making basically a few cents a day? And they almost want to say, well, what you're saying is just propaganda, or what I'm saying is essentially just being the conspiracy theorist. But then when you show them factual evidence of what's taking place right now in our country and how these people are being enslaved around the world for goods that are being created in these other countries, they can't say it, and then they just get angry at you, either say something derogatory or they don't want to speak to you anymore. So that's just what we're coming up against. Let me continue on. To a handful of historians and scholars um, our president would soon learn a lesson. Pulling the drain from the plug of the swamp in Washington was going to be much easier said than done because of all of the infiltration that's take place. One of the things I would say, guys, that we made a mistake in, that we have taken the positions for granted that people are operating that we should be necessarily filling, and we're giving them to crooked Luciferians. You understand me? And we're wondering why we're getting the results that we're getting. Technically, we have a blame to plan that. Many of us, we enjoy the lifestyle of what our Constitution produces, but very few of us are willing to go out there and struggle and to get into debates, and not only debates, but move forth and communicate truth to people in order to protect our Constitution. Many of us are nervous and concerned about doing so, and we choose not to for whatever reason, because we don't like confrontation. Let me continue on. He goes on to say, the bureaucracy, which is immersed in liberal DC culture and ideology, globalist objectives, which view U.S. borders as nationalistic impediment, multinational corporate payouts, and social democracy goals, is monstrous. It is made up of roughly 2.6 million employees, career government personnel, many freelance contractors, the press, and analogy for the fourth estate. The special interest groups that increasingly perceive America's Judeo-Christian morality historical emphasis on rugged individualism and free market capitalism as enemies of socialistic New World Order they aspire to embrace. You understand me? So see, as I've been saying before, and what the author is saying right here is, they view the very things that have made this country great as an enemy to what they are trying to ultimately get to. Now, we know from what has been said from Elon Musk and others that they are looking to eventually merge with AI. Those are just some of the things that they're looking to do. And we have to understand that they mean business. That if they are on the surface are saying that this technology is going to be available in a few months, that means you best believe they've already have had that technology secured and ready to go years ago. They're just presenting it to you like it's some new thing. No, this has been a plot. This has been a sabotage that has been put in place ultimately to destroy mankind in the ensuing years to come. So that's what they're looking to do. If they had it their way, they would look to get rid of anywhere between 75 to 95% of the population around the world, and only have maybe, somewhere between a half a billion to maybe max a billion, most likely about a half a billion or so, to about 300 million people left in the whole globe to rule over. So those are just some of the things that they're looking to do. Now, it is their desire to exercise authority and to come to a place where they are ruling over those that are made in the image and likeness of God, because they can't rule over God, but the very thing that's made in its image and likeness, they want to rule over. And so those are just some of the satanic spirits that are inside of them. Now I want to pull from another book right here and kind of end on a positive note right here. Oh no, before I do that, it gets into later on in this book and where we're going to be going to, it talks about some very interesting things about far as Obama and how Obama set up shop not too far from him. Hey, Dina, good to see you there. And how he set up shop a few miles away from the presidency. But see, I don't understand why we have this evidence, okay, and we're not presenting this evidence enough to people around us. So let me go over here to the Gateway Pundit. This is an older article, but I think it's still current for what's going on today. It goes on to say that Barack Obama had the opportunity to be the greatest president in U.S. history. America was ready for a change after wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and an economic collapse. A big change was needed, and this is what Obama promised. Okay, the economy barely fluttered out of the market collapse of 2008 and even worsened immediately after Obama took office. The wars in the Middle East increased, ISIS was formed, and American guns were provided to terrorists and drug cartels. Billions were given to Iran, and for Americans in Benghazi were left to die on foreign soil despite calls for help. Regulations were the norm, and the economy never reached its potential. But the gravest of Obama's actions were left hidden until now. Let's continue on. By piecing together available information, some are only starting to appear. We now know that corrupt FBI agents Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were part of the plan to implicate candidate Trump with Russia. Strzok was assigned to the Trump-Russia collusion investigation shortly after having interviewed and exonerated Hillary Clinton of all wrongdoing related criminal actions in her email scandal, as noted by the Daily Caller in December of 2017. The New York Times identified Strzok earlier this year as the agent tapped by FBI brass to supervise the investigation into possible collusion between Trump and campaign and Russia, as the Times reported in April. In late July 2016, the FBI opened an investigation into possible collusion between members of Trump's campaign and Russia operatives beside Mr. Comey and a small team of agents. Okay, officials said only a dozen or so people at the FBI knew about the investigation. Mr. Strzok, just days before, from the Clinton base, was selected to supervise it. Let me continue on when it goes into more of Trump right here. So it says, while Brennan wrangled the intelligence agencies into a turf crossing operation that could feed the White House information on the Russian maneuver, Obama convenes a series of meetings to devise a plan for countering whatever the Russians were up to. The meeting followed the procedure known in the federal government as the intelligence as the interagency process. The protocol was for the deputy chiefs of the relevant government agencies to meet and hammer out options for the principals, that is, the heads of the agencies. And then the principals hold a separate and sometimes parallel chain of meetings to discuss and perhaps debate before presenting choices to the president. Goes on to say, let me continue on. Okay. For the usual interagency sessions, principals and deputies could bring staffers. Not this time. There were no plus ones, and attendance recalled when the subject of principals of deputies meeting was a national security matter. The gathering was often held in the Situation Room of the White House. Then in-house video feed of of that particular Situation Room without audio would be available to national security officials. At least see that a meeting was in progress and who was attending. For the meeting related to the Russian hack, Susan Rice, Obama's national security advisor, ordered the video feed turned off. She did not want others in the national security establishment to know what was underway, fearing leaks from within the bureaucracy. So it just go on, but essentially, as we know, Barack Obama had full understanding of what was taking place, and he played a huge role in this illegal tapping, of what I feel was an illegal tapping, and many others, of our president. I like what Flynn goes on to say, as far as the countering, how the people are coming back and taking power back from these particular individuals that are extremely corrupt. I like what General Flynn says right here. And he says, and this is coming from the book of The Greatest Awakening, QAnon. It goes on to say, we have an army. We have an army of digital soldiers. That's what we call them. What I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics, and that story will continue to be told. But we have what we call citizen journalists, because the journalists that we have in our media did a disservice to themselves, actually more than they did to this country. They did a disservice to themselves because they displayed an arrogance that is unprecedented. And so the American people decided to take over the idea of information. They took over the idea of information, and they did it through social media. And that's what we're doing today, guys. What we're doing is, and what I encourage all of you guys to do, somehow, some way, get involved and help out other people that are going about and bringing truth. See, the whole thing is, guys, this isn't about Democrat. This isn't so much about Republicans as it is that we are exposing Luciferians. How we allowed this many people that were absolute warriors of darkness, these particular Luciferians, I don't know. But this has to come to a stop. And what we're doing now, and you guys taking the information, making the information go viral. How do we make the information go viral? Jot down certain things that are said on different channels. Write those particular sentences down, and then share those things. If there's something that you heard that myself, American Joe, let me think of some other people like Mike Nificent, whoever's out there may say something that was absolutely profound and powerful. Take that information, write it down, and begin to just text that to people. Begin to send that in an email, that phrase right there. That's how we get around things and we make things go viral. So with that being said, my friends, I'm going to close this broadcast. And any people, I'm going to take this last 30 seconds to kind of give some shouts out, whatnot there to different channels out there. If you guys aren't subscribed, if you haven't subscribed to the American Joe, I encourage you to do so. If you haven't subscribed to Disabled Vets, I would encourage you to do so. Mike Nificent, I would encourage you to do so. ABL, I would encourage you to do so. And there's a list of others I'm going to be naming off. Pro-Life 45 says all, Rated R Conservative. Go ahead and subscribe to his. So the last 30 or 40 seconds or a minute or so, if you have out there and you're out there, you have a channel, and you want to connect with them, go ahead and try to connect with them. Connect to them by email and just sit down and just look at our ways that we can start networking and getting information out there to other people. So I wanted to say to all of you guys, God bless you. Thank you guys so much. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting me over the session. The Great Informer, what is going on? Thank you, my brother, for stopping in. And I just want to say, hey guys, we got this. We got this. We control our own destiny. And we do that by being bold, my friends. We can't be afraid of these people, guys. We have to be bold. We have to be willing to step up to these people and tell them we know who you guys are. You guys have to understand, these people are not silly. They're not dumb. They know how to make an economy operate. Okay, guys, don't get it twisted. Obama knows how to make an economy operate. So does all of those people do. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to. So with that, I'm going to conclude. God bless you. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys the next time. We'll see you then. God bless you. Bye-bye.